Today, I want to give a shout out to Icarus and the Warrior Within for posting a couple of questions. Thank you very much. We're going to put our crew to rest on top of our blade for a second while we dive into a topic: how to download these 50 free missions. You're going to want to get into your PC and go to the app data folder. Now, as I progress through these, you're going to see that the icons that I'm selecting, I have changed from a folder over to something else. I do this simply by going through the properties, customizations, and changing the icon just to make it more familiar every time you go through the process. So we'll start off with local, then we're going to scroll down until we get to packages. From packages, we go down to the Microsoft.limitless 8 WEK yada yada right here. And inside of that, we're going to split now. Sometimes if you're going to your community folder, you'll go to the local cache. But for these JSON files for the MH60T that you can download in the description below, you're going to want to go to this local state, then WASM, then you're going to go to the MSFS 2024. I'm not sure if these are going to work in 2020 for you or not. You'll have to test that out. And of course, this is going to be specific to PC and not necessarily related to Xbox in any way. From here, we'll go through the Miltech Simulations Mission Hub folder. Then we're going to go to Work, Saved Scenery Files, and here they are. You should see all of the missions right here. And once those are in place inside of your simulator, you can load in anywhere on the planet. Go to this target right here. This opens your mission hub. So right now you can say open file manager and you should be able to see all of your missions loaded in. Pick any single one of them that you want and dive right in. I think what we're going to try to do right now is go to the Gibraltar. Let's go to Gibraltar. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely enjoy this aircraft beyond recognition. The one thing that we also were asked is about the button mapping and how to button map this aircraft. Now, I'm not a big fan of some of the button mapping video. Well, here we go. So there is a link in the description below to this list, and I don't usually bind any of my electrical systems or anything like that, but I do tend to try to bind the lights. What isn't working though is the activation. Let's see if I can find that one more time here in this list. Lights right there. So where it says search lights on and off with the toggle recognition lights, that doesn't seem to be working for me. I have keybound it to my HOTAS in several different places, keyboard, on the collective, buttons on the collective, things like that, and it doesn't seem to be working. But the other thing that does work is the hoist up and down, and I just tend to use those right here. It is the flaps increase and decrease. Everything else really I haven't even touched. I haven't mapped anything else really out with it. That's pretty well how I use it. I did use the searchlight though. I should bring that back up one more time before we dive into this. So let's see if I can find it here real quick. What's with the music? Wow, what a relaxing day at the beach. Aw, how weird is that? I'm trying to look. I haven't used the FLIR at all either. It's because the targets don't appear in the FLIR when you're flying. Towards the very end, the hoist up and down. I think I said that already, but oh, the lights. So here, okay, so for the searchlight, moving it left, right, I have that bound to the hat switch on my cyclic, and that's the increase coil flap, decrease coil flap 3 and 4. You can see that listed here. Those are the only things I really have bound to the aircraft. Everything else is pretty much basic. I haven't trimmed the helicopter at all, nothing like that. Alright, so our first mission is to land on the cruise ship. We'll go through this nice and quick here. Start to take all of our chalks off. Covers. We're going to dive in. Let's come up overhead. Turn on the battery. We're going to turn on the APU. You just follow along here. I'm not going to say them all out loud, but this is the basic startup that I've been using now for quite a while with this. Pitot tubes, lights. Let's see if we can roll these forward here. We look good up top. I tend to go through this pretty quickly now. I've flown this helicopter a ridiculous amount of times at this point. Get her fired up. We should just wait for it to spool up. I don't even turn the left screen on. It's never really in my view too much. If I do want to turn on the searchlight, I'm going to have to do that from inside the aircraft down here on the bottom left. You can see that flash, and if you turn that on, your searchlight will come on, and you can move that. Dig it. But yeah, I have not found a way to use the key binding to get that to work, even though it is mapped properly according to their website. That doesn't seem to be working just yet. So I've been doing a lot of these missions without any type of like magenta line on the map. So you're just working off the coordinates and compass. Let's go get them. So this is a cruise ship underway. And what's great about this is as I've been making these missions, I've sort of been cheating a little bit. This is something that I don't recommend doing inside of like the career mode, but you can successfully use the sim increase, sim rate decrease, sim rate increase, and sim rate decrease. We'll bring it back down to real time, and you need to check out the modeling that these guys have done with these ships. Impressive. Look at this thing. That is incredibly detailed. What a great model. Nicely done. Let's come around to the front. Now that we're putting our patient at risk, taking a little sightseeing cruise around the boat. I believe I have this ship underway at 30 knots. This is quite fun to do from the inside of the chopper. Of course, you can't take the iPad off just by clicking here. Landing on the cruise ship successful. We're doing a patient transfer. Having all these triggers is really a great way to go about putting these missions together so you can accomplish one thing after another. And you'll notice that this is not like a built-in search and rescue type mission. I'm putting my own unique destinations and progressions into each mission. And again, these are available for free through a link in the description. This thing is so much fun to work with. How do you go wrong with that? Several different ships come with this as well. They're all pretty fantastic. Another patient transfer. I really enjoy the multiple steps. Got to return to base at Lima X-Ray Golf Bravo's fuel box. Now, I've done these missions literally all over the planet, so enjoy the variety. You can even conduct these missions at oil rigs. Literally anywhere on the planet, you can just spawn a mission. The one thing that's also a little bit disappointing is the roadside accidents, because those float and move around a little bit. This is one of the strangest airports. There's just football fields right on the runway. Good old Gibraltar. Now, if you've downloaded some of the missions from my previous videos, you're going to find that there might be duplicates when you're downloading those. And what I might do is actually just continuously throw more and more missions into that folder for you guys. I have played each one of the missions. They all do work properly. You can feel free to go in and change the conditions, like the time of day, weather, things along those lines. It should be something like a template once you get them as well. But there you go, a mission success. And if you want to go back to another one, you can just go back up to your mission hub. And these are all of the ones that I've done. You know, my missions are all here. Rio de Janeiro offshore rescue. Play the mission. It's so much fun. There is still quite a bit to be done. Like I said, you know, toggling the searchlight with the key binding isn't working at this point, but the searchlight itself is functional. All right, looks like we're taking off from a cutter. I'd like to see some of these scenes cleaned up a little bit. The way it spawns around the planet is pretty harsh. This one has us with the rotor spinning already. I mean, it's fantastic. The modeling is great. It will be interesting to see if they can somehow incorporate a undulation according to like the wind somehow to get the boat to rock. Or do hoist missions from moving vessels. Because so far that one I haven't been able to figure out just yet. Like a basket deployment to a moving vessel, that one I haven't been able to pull off just yet. I'd be curious to see if I could do it though. I should probably start flying in the direction of the target. Now for this one, we will need to come inside the cabin as well and make sure that our hoist is turned on. Again, that's a key binding that isn't working. This water almost looks fake. It's supposed to be. Totally overshot it. Got the survivor at the nose of the boat. At the bow, stern. He's back there. Not a sailor, huh? Put that hoist down there. Now that I do have button mapped with the flaps. And that hoist is coming up. Land at the airport. And again, these are just a couple of examples of the missions that I've included. 51 different missions all over the planet. And the problems that I was having prior, where I would get a lot of glitching coming in and out of the mission hub, are absolutely related to key binding and overlaps. Once I started using a notepad on a different monitor, that issue went away. So yeah, there's that. And once again, I'm not paying attention to where I'm going. This is pretty great. Just going for a little tour. Once I started using the notepad trick and kind of having that off on another monitor, there wasn't a key binding issue anymore because the two apps weren't overlapping. Now, what would also be nice is, you know, I'm obviously landing at an airport with this patient. I would like to see a multiplayer sort of handoff happen right here where we have like a C-130 on the ground. Down she goes. We've got a patient transfer. Now, there is a way you can even have to put a like engine shutdown into the mix. There's quite a bit of options you can do with the mission hub. Now it wants me to go back and land on the cutter. Even more interesting. All right, without too much effort, you can really expand the possibilities of these missions. All right, now it looks like the cutter might be this one over here. There's no other boats in the area, and he is underway. Little over torque on the old engine there. He is booking. Down. Another life saved. Not nearly on the center of the boat, but I'll take it. It's just fantastic the way you're able to incorporate the different ships into each mission. So dynamic. And the difference between a Microsoft cruise ship and one that is coming with this Miltech, for example. Here you go. Look at how blocky this thing is. All right, you saw the cruise ship earlier. And of course, this isn't something that you could actually touch down on. But the one that Miltech provides, it absolutely, it's a game changer. Some of the ships are pretty impressive. We'll come into another mission. Let's go up to a open file. Here's something that I want to point out, and this is hopefully something that's going to be fixed with the upcoming SU3, and it is airport optimization. Now, you know, I was just talking about how it was running smoother and I wasn't getting the glitching in between menus and getting back into flight and it going down to like 11 frames per minute or 11 frames per second. 11 frames per minute. Could you imagine? Optimization of airports is an issue, but I believe that that's just throughout the entire simulator. And this one here, if I'm not mistaken, is example of the roadside accident. Love it. The camera's just drifting. Let's see here. is the icon in the EFB that says where your accident is for the roadside. It's pretty helpful. A little bit of an EPIRB, but there you can see it right here. And it floats and moves around. Trying to snag this guy is actually pretty impressive. So what we're going to do now is come up into our overhead and make sure that we have our hoist armed once again. And let's take another peek out. See the orange structures behind these, or in between those two white cars. I don't know why it moves. I would like to see the boats do that. Let's go ahead right about here. Hoist is coming up. There we go. To a hospital. Again, without the magenta lines on the EFB, you have to really rely on your heading. Great landscape to fly in. Parking brake is off, 1 mile from the pad. I have the pad in sight. See, now this one didn't trigger. Fly to the hospital with the survivor. Which mission am I flying? I totally just forgot which mission we're flying. That's so funny. Is it the Gibraltar cruise? I don't think so. Ah. How could I figure that out? Rewind the video. Too funny. Is it nice? Was it nice too? That's hysterical. Nice too is the one that I'm working in. But is it the same mission? If I come into the map, yes it is. All right, so now I can come up into the mission editor. So if there is a mistake, nice rescue 2. Should be right here. From the search and rescue, it says the objective is active. That objective is to fly to the hospital. If it's successful, it's supposed to end the mission. We'll connect the landing here and here. Let's get this pilot a cup of coffee. Where's everybody tuning in from tonight? Let's come up and make sure that our hoist is active right off the bat. Let's speed this up a little bit. love the way it moves around. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? A little too low. It's not water. We'll bring it up. Not great. Speed it up again. It still didn't trigger the win. So it's going to activate. The search and rescue was complete, which is correct. Successful and the mission. We're going to activate it that way. I don't know why I can't get this straight. You know how many times I've done this? More than 50. Rough. There's a learning curve to it, apparently. It almost sounds like a little bit of a Top Gun theme. Speed through. Ooh. Once again, we're going to have to get inside the aircraft and make sure we have our hoist armed. think that went swimmingly. All right, now let's see if we can finally get this to trigger. I do like the sim rate increase, sim rate decrease trick when it comes to laying out these missions and testing them. I think what we need here is a timing trigger. Let's solve the issue. So when we come in here, we're going to add a trigger for timer. Now again, on a separate screen, I'm going to type out what this says here, and we're just going to go to a patient transfer, come back in, and then copy and paste that into here. We'll call it, I don't know, 15. We'll show it on the screen. It is not active on the start. It will activate when we touch down. And when we elapse the time, it will be a mission success. Hopefully. I am not an affiliate of Miltech or anybody. This is just an aircraft that I absolutely enjoy. I put a lot of time into these missions. I hope you guys enjoy them. Again, there are 50 free missions available through a link in the description. At the beginning of this video, there is a little bit of a tutorial on where to put them. And again, I want to thank Icarus and the Warrior Within for their questions in the comment section. Thanks, guys. Hopefully I have answered your questions tonight. Right at the tunnel entrance. Again, we'll need to come up into our overhead, turn on our hoist. Let's go ahead and bring her down. Nice pickup. Oh, it says rescue completed. Fly to the hospital. But what happens when we get there? it's still not doing anything. What in the world do you need to do? How many times have I done this? That's the craziest part. So if the objective of fly to the hospital is the issue, and it's successful, let's end this and that, and we'll take it to no. Should be from before this, right? So that's the landing trigger. From here. And the timing trigger itself is activated on the landing trigger. What do you say? One more time? Trial and error. You can imagine how long it took to make 50 of these. And there are a variety of cold and dark starts to missions, as well as rotors running. Let's come to our overhead right off the bat to enable our hoist. And that stuttering is from me using the sim rate increase and sim rate decrease. The moving target. Gotta love this thing. Ever since I purchased this aircraft, I literally haven't flown anything else. This thing is fantastic, and I can only imagine where this is going. A bit of a rolling touchdown, and still not clearing the fly hospital to the survivor objective. Very, very interesting. We only need to connect it to one thing, right? The landing itself. Should be triggered by the hoist being completed. Alright, from the hoist complete, the landing should trigger the timer. Alright, then the timer is 15 seconds. After it elapses, mission success. But we should also connect it to successful. There you go. I think that's the part that I was missing, is connecting it back to successful there. Wow, am I tired. It has been a long week, folks. We had some storms roll through. Some trees down. Well, chainsaw work, you know, the usual. All right, let's try this again. Come back into the overhead, turn on our hoist. And in floats the accident. I love it. I've done that once or twice, I think. All right, so now we get the patient transfer in progress. Success. All right. All right. And again, you could dive right into more and more of these. Just open up the file manager. Dive right in. There's so many to go through here. Let's do a little bit of Michigan. How about some Traverse City? You don't see Traverse City very often. 50 different missions available for free. I hope you guys enjoy these. Now, once you're in these missions, feel free to go ahead and change like the time of day or the weather. Should be no problem to do that at all if you just go back and try to edit out that mission. A lot of traffic out here with the boats, huh? And again, there's also, if you haven't seen it before, prior to this point in the video, there is a link in the description to the key bindings guide where you can find out what key bindings you want set up. The only ones that I'm currently using are the hoist up, hoist down, and the directional input for the searchlight. For me, at least, the activation of the searchlight isn't working via the button mapping that I've chose, but it's a pretty comprehensive list. There you go. Hopefully that is helpful for you. I don't think this thing really needs any trim key binding set. It's a fantastic flight model right off the get-go. Super stable platform. I'm hands off with it right now. Probably want to drift in a little bit off course, but we're getting there. Still got 4 miles out. One thing I love about Microsoft is right this. This is great. We'll go right through it. You gotta love it. All right, we are 1.5 miles away. Let's make sure we have our hoist engaged. See the accident directly below us. Again, without any smoke, and the only thing you have to go on is a coordinate. In this specific instance, kind of surprised that it's over land again and not over water. I will admit that there are more over water rescues involved in the pack that's downloadable in the description, but I do throw one or two of these roadside accidents in there for a nice mix. There's a couple of skier type missions as well in the mountains that are quite difficult as well. I love the dramatic music. I feel like I'm on like Fear Factor. All right, through the trees, huh? Let's see if we can't drop it in this side, right there. I'll take it. Rescue completed. 13.2 to the hospital. 236. Let's go ahead and do some sim rate increase. There's just another example of what comes along. There are some short range missions, medium range missions, long range missions. Most of them are set to this overcast condition here, but again, like I said, feel free to go in and change up the weather conditions once you've downloaded them. Some of the helipads are not modeled, FYI. Again, no magenta line on the map. This is all done off of coordinate and heading. Transferring the patient. An RTB back to 113. And an RTB in my development here has been to the exact place that you took off. Sometimes that is at a fuel box, and it is actually a part of the heading there for the message that says what your next objective will be. Loving every minute of it. And I'm just going to keep making more and more of these to push out to you guys. Hopefully you're enjoying them. Let me know what your experience is like with them. We'll go and we'll cheat the... No, I don't want to give you the Telluride. But the Telluride is the mountain one that I was talking about earlier. I don't want to spoil too many of these, ladies and gentlemen. But there are 50 of these missions that you can download. I hope you guys enjoy them. I certainly am. They are pretty fantastic. Let's go ahead and play one more out there with the cutter. You gotta love landing on the moving ships. I will eventually try to figure out how to successfully do hoisting missions to moving vessels. I have an idea. Uh-oh, the load times are stalling. Come on, Tiger. Wow. Wow. 42 nautical miles away. If you want that long-range mission, you found it. Instead of going on a 42-mile-long mission, let's try to do something here in real time. We're going to create a new mission and see if we can't do the elusive moving target hoist mission. And again, the trick that I will use to create this is going to be a notepad, like a sticky note or something on the opposite screen, so I'm not using duplicate inputs. So we'll go ahead and type some of this right here. We'll put in a spawn right here. Inside of the spawn, we can put our orientation to the 340 degrees that we're at right now. We'll do runway for now. And let's see if we can do a activity of search and rescue. At search and rescue is going to be the smallest thing possible, which I think is the sailboat. And we're going to make sure that its spawn radius is at 0, so it spawns in the exact location every time. So now we'll not show a flare. And now we need to put in a reference area of where we want this to land. So let's go with a length of something like 40,000. Maybe not that much. Let's try 10. All right. We're going to want to orient that probably on like a 45-degree angle. And we're going to want to try to intercept this. So if that's where our search and rescue is taking place, and it'll happen there every single time, what we're going to need to do is time the boat's progress from point A to point B and hopefully get that target in the boat. Let's try something like here. The world will be a ship. The type is going to be, let's go with the tanker ship. We'll orient that to the same 45 degrees, and we're going to bring its ship speed down to 5. And it's, again, just going to be kind of a hit or miss situation whether or not it works. All right, so then we'll lead, and that is the objective. And then we could just do a simple RTB to this here. We'll come in and do a scenario objective. give this one the old objective title of Return to Base. It's not active on start. It's going to be activated by the completion of the hoist. We'll put in a scenario and mission and link that successful to mission success. And see if the timing works. So we'll call this one a moving target test. Again, using a different like notepad off the screen here to get this done. We'll change some of this other stuff a little bit later on. But of course, we want to get that branding in there. We'll go with the author of SAR Heli 241. We're going to hit save and play. And let's see. We're going to copy this again. Try that one more time. Save and play. And again, using that like sticky note or notepad or some other type of writing app on a secondary screen is eliminating all of the stuttering and issues that I was having with frame rates in previous videos. Don't you know what? That coffee's empty. Time for another one. So now this is just a test. I've done it close range. 303, and I'm going to do this in real time to see if the timing works. There is the tanker ship. Only problem is that the target itself is going to remain static, and I can already see it. So I would need to bring the tanker much, much closer to the target. But I have a feeling that the target will be sort of buried by the boat considering its size, and you could like fake it. That's the only way I would think of to get these moving target hoists completed so far. Yeah, we're going to have to move it much closer. Alright, now that we got an idea, let's see if we can squeeze it in. Let's take our ship. Because it is only going, what, 5 knots? Come on. There we go. Let's go even closer. But now we'll have a hoisting mission to a moving tanker target. Maybe. At least that's the idea. Cheating the system, but a cool idea. Come in once again. We're gonna activate the hoist. Let's do this one from inside. So we can see that the target is buried by the boat, but I can't see the target. 322. So now the direction goes away, right? Like I can no longer see where the target is in relation to me. So this moving target thing. Yep. Who knows what direction it's in? Yeah, it's a good idea, but not very practical, actually, when you think about it, because that boat is, sure, it's buried, but it's a moving target. Right, it's already behind the boat. There you go, it's in the water behind it. That is one thing I would like to see changed, is being able to put a moving target on the ship. Note to the developers right there. Let's get that working, could we? Are there any other methods that you guys could think of to make something like that work with a moving target? In the ship itself, it does say, you know, ship spawn, either ready to go or shut down. There should be an option with, like, moving target. I think that would be the way to go. But we need moving targets besides road accidents that are floating. 100%. We tried. I am not going to save that. We'll dive back in, and we're going to give you guys one more example here before we duck out for the evening. Let's go to the cruise ship and hospital boat to show you guys just one more example of some of the models that they're shipping with this pack. I'm really looking forward to the folding of the rotor blades and tail so we can conduct some missions out of the aircraft carriers properly. Now this one is also a timed event. So you need to be able to recover, deliver, and RTB within the 30 allotted minutes. Notice if you do use the sim rate increase for this, the timer for the mission also speeds up. Trying to move that view around while you're landing on one of these things is not recommended. Quite a bit of ground effect as it's coming at you. Whew, that was rough. Not my best landing. Patient transfer activates. Still got 23 minutes left. Should be plenty of time to get it done. Fly north, northwest, and land on the hospital ship. Again, we'll speed that up for you. Now, I do have a hospital ship involved in this specific location, just because there aren't really any hospitals on these shores anywhere. Looks like we have our boat in sight. Again, this is just a really well put together model. It's a beautiful boat. Right? It's nicely done, guys. We have our parking brake off. Now we do know that we have some obstacles on the deck of this specific LZ. So I like to pull a little bit forward on it. Set the parking brake and see how we did. See, way forward on it, but on the left side over there, there's this little shack. Yeah. Just need to keep my distance from that. Watch that tail rotor arc. All right, we're going back to Lima, India, Echo, October, Oscar, or whatever you want to call it. And we're going to 9.1 in the 214 degrees. Now, if you want to get technical with these, you could do the whole like runway approach and taxi and all of that with all of the triggers and things along those lines. You could get that done if you really, really wanted to. I prefer to just come into a fuel box or a pre-designated spot that you've already spawned in at. Now, one thing about this aircraft is when you're landing it to properly kind of adjust for the weight of the nose after that tail gear comes down. Pull back on that stick a little bit, it comes down nice and soft. That's some great work in some extremely challenging conditions. Sometimes you just got to say things twice, but it's always nice. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, it has been a blast. It has been a ball for now. that is it. That is all. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed these missions. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or issues. Thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one.